Alrighty, so today we are talking about the current state of the consumer drone industry in 2020. This is the Flight Time Podcast, episode number 34. Hello and welcome back to the Flight Time Podcast. I'm Ken Dono. Joined with me here is Billy Kyle.
What's going on, guys? Billy here. So I tweeted something, it was a couple of hours ago now. People continue to call me Kyle, and I don't understand because I start off every single video by saying, "What's up, guys? Billy here." How do they get Kyle?
I don't understand that they think you had like that. Maybe that's your middle name or something. Like you're Billy Kyle. Like you're not actually using your actual last name.
You see,
maybe.
Here's the thing: is that if you've got a name that sounds like a first name, like Billy, and if you say it in each and every single one of your videos, I just feel like people should address you by that name. All right, so whatever. We want to talk about the state of the consumer drone industry because, 6 months ago now at CES, we kind of got a bomb dropped on us with all of these new drones coming out, and just because of coronavirus, because of the pandemic, and everything going on in the world right now, they came out a lot slower than I guess we had planned. And I think that so far we've pretty much got every single drone that we saw, and a little bit more with the Mavic Air 2. But there's two drones that we're missing. Ken, can you guess what they are?
So we don't have X Dynamics, the Evolve.
Yes, that was one of them. Now what's the second?
And I hate this drone. It's the V-Copter. I hate this drone so much, dude. I don't like it.
I don't know what V-Copter's deal is. I don't know if we're ever going to see that drone. I think that this was their way of just, saying peace. This is going to be our out. And I don't think we're ever going to see that drone. I don't. So correct me if I'm wrong. Did Osita on Twitter, did he say something about DJI and how they're trying to create a bicopter design?
He did, but he says a lot of different things. I take him with a grain of salt, I guess. He says a lot of stuff. Like he's super DJI fanboy, if you ask me. But he did say that at one point that they were going to create something similar. I don't know if they've ever got that off the ground or what the deal is with that.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, trying to guess what a company's going to come out with just by looking at their patents really isn't a good way to understand what their future releases are, because some companies will just file for a patent and they keep it on the shelf so nobody else can use it, or if somebody else does use it, then they can sue them. So I wouldn't take that with I guess much
weight.
Yeah. Thanks for finishing my sentence for me.
You're welcome.
So the state of the consumer drone market, right? We've got new drones from Alltel. We've got new drones from DJI. And we've got new drones from PowerVision too, the PowerVision Power Egg X. I'm on my third drone, and just kind of covering the state of the consumer and prosumer drone market. There's a lot of really great options out there right now. I have a feeling that we're not going to see anything new for a while. And I don't know if it was in the last podcast we recorded or if it was in one of my videos where I said that we should hunker up, because I think that what we've got right now is kind of what we're going to be choosing from for the next year and a half to 2 years, because I don't think we're going to see any new drone releases after what we have right now. And maybe those remaining ones we're talking about, like the V-Copter, but also the X Dynamics drone. So the current state of the drone market, right? I would say it goes from the Mavic Mini all the way up to the Alltel Evo 2. That's kind of the upper limit of like the prosumer drone market. And in between there, just some prominent drones. We of course have the Mavic 2 series. We've had that for the past 2 years. We've got the Mavic Air 2, which is like the intermediate drone. And then you've got, would you say the Alltel Evo 2 is above the Mavic 2?
I guess it depends on which one. I would say the Alltel Evo 2 Pro would be. I mean, that's fair enough to say. But I don't think necessarily that it was designed that way. I don't know. I mean, I guess it is, but I guess so. We can say it's above that.
It certainly costs more, and in my opinion, it certainly has better specs, with the flight time being 40 minutes. Top speed is relatively the same, but it's also got a lot of sensors around the drone. So I guess the current state, just to kind of set a basis here, is Mavic Mini, Then we've got Mavic Air 2, we've got the Mavic 2 series, and then the Alltel Evo 2. The outliers, like I said, the PowerVision drone, the Power Egg X, a very niche drone with the waterproof housing. They just really haven't refined that over the different firmware updates that have come out for it. It's a mess, in my opinion. And what are some other outliers? Oh, the SkyDo.
SkyDo sort of lurking in the background. They just recently went back to work, I believe. Not too long ago.
And it's good. I mean, just not only SkyDo in general, but everybody getting back to work is definitely awesome. It's something that, is kind of going to push not only the drone industry forward, but it's going to get everybody back to work. We're going to start seeing some new updates coming out for drones and things of that nature. So that's definitely a good thing. But the SkyDo 2, I still consider it as like an outlier because it's more of a niche drone. Like if you want a follow me drone, but that's, a very advanced follow me drone, you go with the SkyDo 2. But again, it's not something that if somebody wants to buy a drone, I recommend automatically, right? I mean, if somebody wants to get a drone, it's either Mavic Mini or Mavic Air 2. I'm recommending right off of the bat. And if they know anything about the drone industry, they'll pretty much figure out from there if they want any of the other drones. But so there's a lot of really great options to choose from right now. And I've got to say, man, that Mavic Air 2 checks off so many boxes that it's a drone I can recommend to really anyone. So right now, that's probably the drone I'd say is the go-to. Offers so much value. Have you been flying it recently?
So I'm on my fourth one now.
Wait, what? I thought you had 3.
No, yeah, fourth one. So I had another issue with this one, and it wasn't even that we wrecked it or anything like that. It was just IMU error after IMU error, and we could not get it to calibrate like whatsoever. So we didn't know what to do. So we sent it in DJI, and lo and behold, this was one of the ones that they cited with me that, oh yeah, hey, there's a problem. We're gonna take care of that for you. So they did fix that one.
What a mess.
Yeah, the other one fell out of the sky. They said there was impact. They said we hit a building, but there was no building. There was a condo probably about 20, 30 feet from where we were flying, and there was impact. So unless if a bird struck me, again, won't ever know because the SD card, what a hassle. The SD card was taken by the person who recovered it because he thought we were spying on them. So
look, my opinion is that the Mavic Air 2 is great. Like, I'd recommend it to anybody. It's a great drone to fly. Right now, I'm just kind of waiting on like smart controller support so I can start to take more advantage of the drone because
I think that'll make a bigger difference once you have smart controller support.
But so do you have like a bad taste in your mouth because you're on your 4th one?
I don't have a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I mean, I like everything the drone like is, you know what I mean? Like from a perspective of portability, I love it. Like, I don't have a bad taste in my mouth, but after you had 2 accidents with it and like, it makes you a little more gun shy of like flying in certain situations. Like I was flying yesterday and I was like, I wouldn't go over the buildings for some reason. Like I felt a lot more nervous than I normally do. Like, and I wouldn't say like I'm trying to be intentionally risky because that's not the right word, but it's like you don't take those shots like that. You're like, oh man, that shot was worth it. Like I wasn't taking those shots.
Yeah.
And that's sort of disappointing.
It doesn't take much when you're flying a drone to, kind of scare you away from doing certain things. It's almost like you get a speeding ticket and you feel like for the rest of the drive home, you're like watching your speed and you don't want to go anything over the speed limit. But yeah, I'm kind of waiting on smart controller support. To me, it's just the drone to get right now. Sorry, I'm just getting a phone call here. You know what? And this is like totally, I guess it's not related to drones, but you're on your 4th drone. That's just absolutely insane. The back door in my car, it like the inside paneling got stuck and it's like jammed. And I now have to bring it to Ford for a 3rd time. And I'm just getting so frustrated. So I can only imagine how frustrated you are having to go through the process of getting 4 different drones. Thank God you've got Zach to supply you.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, basically he swaps it out, sends it to DJI, they fix it, and then, I'm up and running. I have no downtime, so I'm fortunate that I have no downtime. Not everybody's that fortunate in that situation, but I still I don't really have a bad taste with it. It is an awesome drone. It does a lot of great things. I just, I've had a string of bad luck. It happens. I guess, one of the things that, I would say to anybody is, well, when you fly so much and so often, things like this are going to happen, like probably more so to us, just because we put ourselves in these situations more than anybody else. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why, situations like this often occur, and people are like, totally. I don't understand, I don't understand why this is happening to you. Well, it happens because we fly, every single day, and we talk about and we review different drones all the time, and stuff like this. Accidents are going to happen, and when they do happen, it's going to happen, probably in a big way, sadly. But that's just the facts. I mean, think about, I can think about every single accident I've ever had with the drone, and they've always been almost catastrophic.
Yeah. That just goes to show you that you might be able to understand why the FAA puts the guidelines that they do in place for drone flyers to follow, because if an accident happens, it really could be catastrophic. And I'm just looking at it from the perspective of DJI and how, they want to side with the FAA and how they want to make sure their drones are as safe as possible. And for them to skimp on a second IMU on their Mavic Air 2, just it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't put another one in there for redundancy, like a chip, or I guess a unit inside of the drone that is so important, that is so crucial to the flight of the drone. The fact they don't have a second in there and they cut that corner, I don't know. I think that there's so many other ways they could have gone to decrease the price of this drone, and I wish it wasn't safety they had to dip into.
Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing that they had to go and do that. Obviously, who knows what goes into the decision making behind, if they do certain things like that behind the scenes. I mean, we never know. We never know like how much that actually really costs them. There's so many factors. There's so many factors at play, and I'm not going to judge them. And at the end of the day, DJI is in business to be in business. All these manufacturers are. So when they cut corners or do certain things, I mean, they're obviously doing it from a perspective of survival, right? If they can't survive as a company, they're not going to be able to supply drones. They're not going to be able to pay their bills, and et cetera. And I know it's like, oh, what are you doing? Crying, woe is me for DJI? No, that's not the case. I'm just trying to rationalize sort of like some of the things that we often see from these different camps. And DJI is one of them. And sadly, we don't have very many competitors in the market today. And the ones that we do have are very, very small. And they don't have the infrastructure that DJI has to potentially bring releases as often or as frequent, or even a refined product some of the times. Like look at Alltel, for instance. They're somewhat a big company, but this robotics division of theirs, fairly small, I would say, in comparison to DJI. They struggle with logistics. They struggle getting their drones out on time. And because of that, they're not deemed as a threat to DJI at all. Otherwise, we would have had the Mavic, 3 before another Mavic Air 2, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that you can attest to the shipping delays and all of the headaches that you've had to deal. I remember talking to you and you said that the Evo 2 Pro was just a nightmare to get a hold of.
Absolutely.
I mean, here's something else that's huge that really differentiates these different drone companies is the fact that they all have their one drone, but DJI has multiple. They have 5 different drones at any given time that are at the top of their class, with the Mavic Air 2, the Mavic Mini, the Mavic 2 Pro, the Phantom, the Inspire. I mean, they have this whole entire lineup of drones, whereas Alltel has their Evo 2, and SkyDo has their SkyDo 2, and PowerVision has their Power Egg X, and they've got a couple of other drones. X Dynamics, when they come out, their drone is going to have their Evolve 2, and it's like they've all got this one offering, but there's DJI that they're all trying to compete with. It's almost like you've got DJI as this big, massive, like 3-headed dragon, and all the other companies are just trying to cut one of their heads off and see if they can gain any sort of market share. Now, I think the company that is doing the best job at this thus far is Alltel with their Evo 2. I mean, they came out with this drone that, in my opinion, is probably the best choice for certain prosumers. I wish it still flew a little bit more smooth. I know, Ken, you're going to kill me. I flew the Evo 2 Pro for the first time, same airframe as the 8K, and my Evo 2 Pro flies totally different than the 8K. Like it flies so much smoother, and I can't put a finger on it.
It could just be the production time, or I mean, that happens from time to time, right? As we get different units, I mean, they fly differently. I mean, I can build 2 drones of the same components, and sometimes they'll just fly differently, and I have no rhyme or reason. So
okay, but you are a person with hands, and your hands make different movements. But when we've got machines that make the same movements on an assembly line that create these drones with the same firmware on them, it doesn't make sense that one drone flies almost perfect and one drone flies like a pile of crap.
My explanation is, I think what happens is a lot of times as they go through these productions, what I think happens is they figure out, oh, this component's not working correctly, right? And they go ahead and make changes, and they just do like silent changes, right? Like they'll make a change, and they'll be like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and quickly, I don't know, for whatever reason, change out maybe this ESC, or we're gonna change out this motor, and they do it in a manner that they're like, all right, nobody's gonna notice it, right? Nobody will notice. And I think that's a lot of times what ends up happening, and nobody notices the difference, and there's no way to tell really, because none of us who in their right mind is going to rip down a $1,400 drone to figure out, oh, what did they change differently that's making it feel different than it did previously. Like if they did a warranty and they're like, wow, this flies so different, this flies great.
Yeah, not me. I'm not doing that.
Exactly. Nobody's going to tear that down, and there's no way to really know. Firmware also has a lot to do with it too. The new firmware that they've released, I feel it's better. It's not perfect. It's better, but it's not perfect.
Look, it's better, but again, right? So to your point, how you said that they make these little minute changes, there's no doubt that they continue to refine their product in smaller ways. I mean, a perfect example of this is the original Mavic Pro. With the amount of demand they had for that drone, they were kicking them out, and they probably weren't even testing them before they went out the door. They were just putting it together, and they hoped that it worked, and they hoped that there wasn't some sort of issue with the drone. So I got mine within the first couple of months. The camera was totally messed up, but then, obviously over a year, when people were buying it towards the tail end of when the Mavic Pro was out, they had made so many refinements that at the end of the day, I almost had a completely different drone than what somebody was getting, towards the end of its lifespan. Now, of course, I got my Alltel Evo 2 8K 2 months ago. I just got my Alltel Evo 2 Pro, so that's a good enough gap to the point where a change could have been made. It was implemented in the assembly line, and then now I've got a drone that has some sort of different component. Something is assembled differently. There could be some sort of change. Just like you said, I'm not tearing it down. I'm not going to check, but I went as far as switching propellers on both drones. I went as far as switching the remotes on both drones. I did so many things to try and figure out exactly where the issue was, and it seems like the issue is just with my drone itself. But I think that the one thing that's concerning is that a lot of the people that got their drones early too, I saw on my video, were experiencing the same thing. They were commenting saying that they were experiencing the same issue where the drone was kicking to the left. So that's a real bummer. Like, if people are so dedicated to buy this drone as soon as it comes out, but they get an inferior product, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is too, when we talk about like Alltel or we talk about anything, you have stark differences between the people who buy an Evo drone and the people who buy, let's say, DJIs, right? They're very different people. They're very different people. And I think it's important to understand that some people have so much disdain for DJI because they believe they're this Chinese company, right? And I know because it's ironic, because so is Alltel. But to them, DJI is evil. They're taking their data, and they will look for any reason to say, okay, I need something different. I need an anti-hero. And that anti-hero is this Alltel drone, which is very, very similar. It's somewhat familiar to a Mavic, right? They look identical. Hell, even the old, what the hell is it? The X-Star was very familiar to a Phantom Pilot. They looked identical. So it offers them enough familiarity that it's not a stark difference and not a massive change, but it's enough for them to be happy with their decision. That's what I think a lot of people end up doing. It's just they make this drastic change, and they're willing to sacrifice things that aren't necessarily better. Like, there's a lot that DJI just does so much better than Alltel, but people are willing to sacrifice those niceties for something that is just different.
Yeah, and you can also argue that Alltel does things better because they do, right? I mean, their Evo 2, it's a little bit more expensive than what you get with the Mavic 2 Pro, but you get what you pay for because you've got better specs and you've got better I guess options with your camera, and you get the ability to buy multiple cameras and affix them to that one airframe. So they do a lot of things great. Of course, you've got no NFCs, so you can fly your drone pretty much wherever you want. You could walk out in the middle of PHL and take off right from the tarmac, although we're not condoning that. But I'm just saying that, it alleviates a lot of headaches. But when I begin to think about it, right, it's almost, dude, people have said it from the beginning, and I feel like now more than ever, it's so true. DJI is like Apple. They make their software, they make their hardware, and they are going to tell you what you can and you can't do. But because you're having to deal with all of that stuff, you're going to get a really damn good product in return. Because I think I compared it to like the Alltel Evo flies like a Lexus, but the Mavic series flies like a Ferrari. The handling is just so much better. The responsiveness.
I can see that.
Because look, I mean, at the end of the day, the Evo is a great drone, but it's like once you start getting into these other drones that have been vetted and have so many years of experience, or I guess these companies like DJI who just continue to make drones that fly better with each and every release. When you begin to go and fly other drones or say drive other cars, you're like, man, this isn't as good as I expected because, you have that silver spoon right out of the boat, right out of the gate. I mean, when the Mavic Mini came out, I'm still impressed with how that drone flies for being as cheap as it is, inexpensive as it is, $399, right? For being as small as it is, I mean, that thing handles great.
No, I agree. I mean, for what it is, it's a cool drone. You know what I mean? For what it is, but I think it's important that's just it. It's it's not a high end drone, and I think a lot of times sometimes I think our expectations are overhyped, and I've said it before. We're guilty of it. YouTubers, content creators, bloggers, we're all guilty of overhyping a product and making it seem like Hercules, right? Before it ever hits our hands, before anything, we set these false expectations for people. And then when they get the product in their hand, they're like, I don't like it. Or maybe they have a bad experience. Like I've had several bad experiences. I haven't said I hated the Mavic Air, even though I have had like really bad luck with it. I've been very reserved in, what I've said about it. I've even I even threatened DJI because I was not getting my way with them. And they didn't no idea who I was.
I didn't check your Twitter, did you?
I deleted some of the tweets. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't not my proudest moments, but I mean I went apeshit on them via DM. Like, I don't know. Whoever their supervisor is, he may not know who I am, but he knows I'm an asshole now. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Here's something interesting to cover, right? I feel like we're kind of rambling on, but whatever. That's what podcasts are for, right?
That's what it's for.
So let's say somebody is buying their very first drone, which really anybody listening to this podcast probably already has their drone, but just something interesting, right? Because I think that as anybody with a drone, you've got other friends that are interested in the drone that you have, and they say, oh, what is a great drone that I can buy just as a starter drone? So do you think that somebody should spend the extra money on the Mavic Air 2 as their first drone over the Mavic Mini, or do you think that they should just go with the Mavic Mini for the lower price tag? So, all right, let me reiterate the question. Somebody's buying their first drone. They have to choose between the Mavic Mini or the Mavic Air 2. Which one do you recommend and why?
I'm going to recommend the Mavic Air 2 simply because from a price perspective, it's $499, right? Or what is it, $799? So it's
$799 for the Mavic Air 2, $399 for the Mavic Mini. So it's double the price.
Okay, so it's a $400 difference. It's a $400 difference, and you're getting so much more of a drone. When I look at things that I can future-proof from that perspective, I would probably lean in with that when I'm talking to somebody because, for me, I compare it to motorcycles. If you start riding, a 600, you always want, something faster. You get a 700, and eventually, pretty soon, you're going to want yourself a 1000 because everything else just doesn't feel fast enough. And I compare that the same to the drones. I feel like the Mavic Mini, after a period of time, and probably a faster period of time than anything else, will feel a lot less desirable than, if you would have just spent the money and got something a little bit more. It's $400. Now, if you're budget crunching, then yeah, sure, go with what you can get, I guess. And if that's the Mavic Mini, that's the best you can do.
Yeah, you've also got to figure how much time are you going to spend on the sticks, right? I mean, some people buy a drone and it's flown for the first week, first month, and then it gets put on the shelf. So I think the first question when I'm asked, do I choose between the Mavic Mini or the Mavic Air 2, I say, well, how often are you going to fly this thing? And what do you plan on doing with this drone? I think that you need a little bit more information other than just guiding somewhere or, someone somewhere by saying, yeah, Mavic Air 2. So I think if they plan on using it often, if they plan on having a future in drones, the Mavic Air 2 is the clear choice because you have so much more room to grow into it and you have so many more features at your disposal. I mean, just like you said, it's double the price, but you could triple the drone for that price. So it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, to I guess recommend the Mavic Air 2 as a starter drone to people who are more inclined to fly their drone more. There's really no saying, if you're going to end up flying your drone as much as you say so before you even get it. I mean, I know that when I bought mine, I was instantly hooked, and I have a feeling that most people would tend to agree with that statement. Like, as soon as you get your first drone, it's just like, okay, I want another one. I need something that's better. And I wouldn't want somebody buying the Mavic Mini and then having to go out and buy the Mavic Air 2 because, I don't know, the Mavic Mini feels very limited after DJI came out with their Mavic Air 2. I mean, I see what they're offering at that price point, and it's a no-brainer. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's sort of like, at this point, in the 2020 perspective, I know a lot of people keep saying, oh, I'm going to wait for the Mavic 3. And I sort of chuckle at that because I'm thinking to myself, well, part of me saying, you know what? These guys are idiots. They're going to sit and wait a whole year to fly. But then I start thinking to myself, well, I don't know if they have a drone. Maybe they don't have a drone. And maybe that's not a bad idea because then you get to sort of see what the FAA does and whether or not the Mavic 3 could essentially be future-proof. So are they really stupid for waiting? Maybe not. And, there's been some leaked schematics of a potential micro four thirds camera. I think that is the next wave in prosumer lineups, is that a micro four thirds camera will supersede a 1-inch sensor. And I think with DJI, whatever they bring with the Mavic 3 is going to just absolutely slam the Evo 2. It's going to, because that's what their goal is. Their goal is not to beat it, not to, meet its expectations, but to absolutely annihilate it. Like, they want to say we're the King Kong in the room. Because right now they really can't say that. Spec for spec, if you look at everything, the Alltel Evo is sort of the King Kong in the room if we're just going by specifications. Forget how it flies and anything else. Spec for spec, the Evo sort of dominates that perspective in that regard.
Oh yeah.
So I think DJI knows this, and they're going to be more apt to try to repeat the success they had around Christmas time with bringing, let's say, the Mavic, like how they did with the Mavic Mini. Look at how successful for Christmas the Mavic Mini was. I mean, tell me that was not the most successful drone launch that you've seen in a long time.
It's the most successful drone launch. I have a feeling that it was almost more successful. It was almost more successful, and I guess I want to say a higher profit margin for DJI than even the original Mavic Pro. I mean, the amount of traffic I saw coming to my channel, the amount of traffic you saw coming to your channel, and just the amount of new people I saw getting into the drone industry was unlike anything that I've ever seen before. So yeah,
Right.
That was incredible.
So that's, I think that, they're trying to obviously, on the heels of that, right, they want to make sure that, oh, hang on a second, we can repeat that. History can repeat itself. I mean, again, they're a marketing machine. They know what they're doing in every facet of their business. Like, they're no dummies. They know that, hey, wait a second, we created a product that people know and people want. So how can we capitalize on that going further? And you got to release it around Christmas time. Like, you have to release it around Christmas time, because I think if they wait, they're just going to really screw themselves. Like, so it's got to be around that time frame.
Yeah, well, look, DJI doesn't have any sort of like structured release for their drones. I mean, with Apple, it's very structural. It's like WWDC, just around this time, beginning of summer, and then new iPhones in the fall. And it happens like that every single year. But DJI, there's really no pattern to follow. Now, there is something that I am kind of going off of, and I'm basing my assumption off of when we'll see a new Mavic 3. And it's the fact that they waited a year and a half to release their Mavic 2 after the Mavic Air came out. So, we've had the Mavic Air 2 now for 3, 4, 5 months, however long it's been. And I think that we could not see another drone from them for over a year because they can hold out that long and still be fine. And
100%. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because really, do you need another drone? I mean, these aren't, like you said, I mean, Apple has a structured release, but when you're dealing with phones, you need a structured release. You can do that when you're dealing with a cell phone. You can't really do that for a drone release. At least I don't think you can. I mean, I guess you could try. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think it's going to work out as well.
I definitely think that you could try, like if they had like their Mavic lineup, and maybe maybe if they had a modular drone, maybe it would work a little bit better, like continuing to update modules as you went along. That's a whole different conversation. But the reason I bring up this release date of the Mavic 3, just in the back of my mind, it's kind of circling back to your point, how you said that people are waiting for the Mavic 3 when honestly we couldn't see that drone for over another year. So are you willing to wait over a year to get a drone? I mean, why not buy something in the meantime?
Yeah, I mean that's my argument a lot of times. Like, I hate waiting for things like, like, what are you really waiting for? Like, what are you hoping that this drone's going to do? I think a lot of pilots, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm going to be a dick for a moment, because a lot of people believe that the next best thing is going to make them a better pilot or make their footage so much better. And they don't spend the time like learning how to fix the color, how to fly correctly, how to link your shots. Like, they're not making anything. They're just buying shit to buy shit. And none of it, you know what I mean? It's like, what good is having all these wonderful tools if you're not willing to take the time to master that paintbrush, I guess. And that's that's sort of my frustration. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wired. Maybe we're wired differently in that regard. But if I'm going to do something, I want to do something the best I possibly can. Yeah, not just to do it.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. I mean, what we have now in the Mavic 2 Pro, is a Mavic 3 really going to make your photos or your videos any better? Maybe. I mean, maybe if you feel like you're outgrowing the Mavic 2. Yes, it could. I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot with this. But regardless, there's already so many great drones out there. And even with those older drones, and you can't see it, but I'm air quoting older drones, because even though the Mavic 2 is relatively older, it's still such a great drone. That's something that you could potentially pick up used in the meantime if you really are like trying to hold out for that Mavic 3. So I think there's no bad time to buy a drone, and I think that there is no time like the present to buy one, right? And I think that that's a really good way to kind of conclude this episode, is with the consumer drone market, no matter what is going to come out, there's no better time to buy a drone like the present. Buy one, fly one, and we'll see what happens from there.
Exactly. That's the best you can really do. And I think with that, we'll go ahead and call it right here for this episode. If you guys have any feedback, go ahead, leave us a comment down in the description below. I know you guys are probably wondering to yourselves, well, wait a second, I can hear you, but I can't see you guys. What's the deal? We went back and forth on whether or not we wanted to do video in these episodes, and ultimately we decided from a standpoint of how fast can we get this content out to you, and like where it's going to be listened to and what we intended this to be. For right now, we're going to forego video, but it doesn't mean we're going to rule it out entirely. We're going to see where this channel takes us, and yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, leave them down below.
Yes, sir. Ken, nice talking with you, and I will chat with you guys in the next episode.
I'll chat with you next time, brother.